Right, today we're in my favourite areas. I loved doing assault courses. And doing assault courses with full pack, full boots and the rest of it with a team of 4, everybody helping each other, I loved even more. So this is chapter 3, Sun Tzu's Art of War, and this one's entitled Strategic Offence. And the word I want to emphasise is strategic. So this is about identifying issues way beforehand and doing the training to solve the issue. Strategic offence. Sun Tzu is totally preoccupied about defeating the enemy before you even have a battle and defeating the enemy as a whole so they completely win. This is not about taking one regiment or one platoon and biting off the enemy piecemeal. This is about taking them whole. And I suppose in warfare, not necessarily in Sun Tzu's time, this is about bringing economic might, strangling the enemy of resources, political might, social might, unrest with the people at home, and the battle itself when you dominate the skies. So now you have bombing, artillery, SAS behind the scenes causing mayhem, disruption and decoy before the fight actually happens, and you've got all this material and shrapnel raining upon them and all this squeezing of, and they go, do you know what, we're not going to fight this. So how does that relate to tennis? And remember, our game is the game of fine margins. We know that in the course of the season, the 1, 2, 3 and 4 world-class players win about 54% of points. So 46.5% of points, they lose throughout the entire season. Those are the margins, and that's our game. So everybody else trains for the game leading up to the game, and we only talk about the game that turns a 50-50 into a 52-48. So now how can Sun Tzu be applied to that game? And that is quite simply by training self and training process under simulated pressure. When the heart is pumping, the brain is all over the place, the feet are glued to the ground, and you can cut the tension with a knife. That's the game that we train for. Nobody else does. So if you know and truly believe who you are, like I always win tie breaks, I always win big points, closing out momentum changing ones, then you truly believe. And no, you're not going to win every single one, but the ones that you do lose don't affect you in the slightest way. You have unwavering belief. And you also train to know yourself to be uniquely capable. So you can take the game by the scruff of the neck when the game demands to be taken by the scruff of the neck. And you only need to do that once and twice, and you know yourself to be capable of, in a 50-50 match, at critical moments, taking the game by the scruff of the neck and finding a way to win. So now you know yourself, now you know what you're capable of, and now you've built reputation. So when push comes to shove, your opponent knows, just like with the pilots and the artillery and the SAS and stuff, resistance is futile. How many times does the underdog get to the point of winning and the underdog finds a way to lose, and the person that was supposed to win finds a way to win? So even if you capture your enemy whole, even if your enemy finds a way to lose, that's still very satisfying. So that's strategic offence and winning that way. The second thing that Sun Tzu talks about is that the greatest form of warfare is outthinking the enemy, breaking their alliances. How awesome is that? And you've got to train for the right phase of war. So Sun Tzu would say, right, if you're 10-1 against your opponent, you surround them. If you're 5-1, you take them on. And if you're 2-1 up, you split them, so you've still got more superiority. If you're equal, you just got to engage. And if you're heavily outnumbered, withdraw and be guerrilla warfare. So those are not the same type of training. Those phases of war are very different, strategically, mentally, tactically, executionally, skills-wise. How does this equate to tennis? Well, we know we've got 3 phases of battle. The first strike, winning the point in 4 shots or less, 70% of points are there. Let's just equate that to a drone followed by a sniper. Now that's a very different form of training. This is 0 to 2 seconds, 0 to 1 seconds, flush the enemy out, kill them. 5 to 8 patterns of play, different 1-2 combinations, 1-2, 1-2, flush them out, kill them. Different type of skills. And now we've got what everybody else trains, which is the 9 shots or more. That's endurance mentality. That's everything's the same, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. But before you've got to get that, you've got to get through the 5 to 8 patterns of play, and before you get that, you've got to get through the 1 to 4 shots first strike. So if you're only skilled in 9 shots or more, you're only skilled in one form of play, and the chances are people aren't going to allow you to get into what you're trained for. 10% of points there. And then the third thing Sun Tzu talks about, a strategic offence, is how the commander of the state is everything. And that if they meddle with military organisation, if they change the tactics of war at the wrong time, and if they meddle and play around with the people, not only will the army not know what they're about because the commander doesn't know what they're about and they are mucking around with tactics and morale, but the enemy spots weakness. And with Big Point Player, with myself, Robert Carbo, 3 Masters of Tennis, whereas most tennis coaches would have a lifetime to have 1 Masters of Tennis, part of the Davis Cup USA squad and much more. And with other world-class experts that are coming into our team to support you, we guarantee we are solidly behind you, 100% loyal to you, and totally clear in our mission, which is never again will you choke under pressure. Understand that 1% choking is still choking. Never again will you choke under pressure, not have unwavering 100% belief and certainty that you will turn a 50-50 match into a narrow win. That's Sun Tzu's strategic offence applied to Big Point Player tennis training.